Liverpool and Arsenal feel the pressure, and we have a very special guest for episode 250. Welcome to the Corner Flag. I'm Amogh.
I'm Mukesh.
And I'm Graeme Swann.
Hey, Swanny's in the house. We have a bona fide sports person on the podcast. Yes, more cricket related, and this is a weird crossover cricket football episode of the Corner Flag. But Swanny, welcome to the Corner Flag. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. You're lucky to catch me because I popped my head down for a quick nap 6 hours ago. And I fell asleep, and I just woke up about 20 minutes ago. I had to download the app for this podcast and everything. So you are very lucky to have me because I'm rubbish on computers and technology, and I got in a flat there just downloading the app and all sorts. So honestly, I'm sat here in my hotel room in a haunted hotel. I'll tell you, a haunted hotel with the curtains that my gran would have in her house behind me. Look at the colour of those. They're like chocolate brown. If you were really ill, that would be the colour of things coming out of your body, I reckon. It's awful. But here I am.
Oh, welcome to India then, Swanny. You're having a lovely IPL season in haunted hotels all over the country. Is it just this particular hotel that you're in that's haunted, or is it every place that you've gone to during this tournament?
No, it's just this one. It's this one. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name the hotel, but it's Oberoi Grand. I will because it's famous. It's famous, right? So it is amazing. I've got like a 4-poster bed and everything. It's really old and really cool. And someone told me before, there's a ghost in that hotel. So I looked into it. You can go online. I'm in Kolkata, Oberoi Grand. Go online. And a piano player in the 1920s died of cholera or something. And he was from America, this dude called Teddy, and he gets seen floating around the corridors, and you hear piano music in the background. So when I checked in, I asked the bloke behind reception, I said, "Is there a ghost?" And he went, no, sir. No, definitely not. But everyone who drops a room service off, I say, "Have you seen the ghost?" And they all smile straight away and go, yes, sir. It's brilliant. I love stuff like that.
But do you think in the afterlife the cholera continues? Like, if the piano playing continues, so must the cholera. All right, Graeme Swann. So I have 2 questions for you. I remember a youngish Graeme Swann debuting in Calcutta in 2008. And... right? I think in Chennai, sorry.
Chennai, yeah. You remember it well.
No, I'm so busy. In Chennai, right? You it.
You built it up so well and then just cocked it up.
I
honestly, he's a big fan of mine. Yeah, he knows me back to front. That famous day in Calcutta,
No, in Chennai, and I loved Rahul Dravid while growing up, and you got him out on some like 4 runs, and I was like, who is this brash, arrogant debutant? So my question for you is, how dare you?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I like the way you questioned it as well, rather than do it as a statement. I tell you, I do dare. I did dare.
Okay, good answer.
You know what? There's only 2 people in the history of Test cricket who've taken 2 wickets in their first over. And they're both English, and I'm one of them. And the other guy was called Richard Johnson, but that was against Zimbabwe, so it doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
Even though Zimbabwe had like Andy Flower at the time, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
This was against India, and I got Gambhir and Dravid out.
I remember.
I mean, no one can ever take that away from me. And just because in the second innings, Sachin Tendulkar got 100 and India chased down 380 to win, I stand by my results. All right, that was not my fault.
I just want to point out that within the first 5 minutes of this episode, we could be looking at getting sued by the Oberoi Grand in Kolkata as well as the nation of Zimbabwe.
That's fine. That's fine.
And they'll ask us to pay $1 trillion, which is like 10 rupees.
First of all, Oberoi Grand, it's famous. You can do ghost tours of Kolkata, and this is one of the most famous places. So I think so I think we're safe. Secondly, bring it on, Zimbabwe.
Let's go.
Let's go. Well, you do actually.
My second question which I expect a confession from you, is that I watched
Okay.
a long time ago. I watched an old interview of yours on Crick Info, where you said you're very superstitious. You were a superstitious cricketer who listened to every match. You listened to the same song before you entered the pitch, right?
Yes.
Now I think it's about time you reveal which song it was.
What, I reveal what the song is? I'm not sure I can. Because I'm still superstitious, and it might mess this up. It might mess my whole life up.
Oh.
All I will say is this is how superstitious I was, and this is one of the reasons why I love Jimmy Anderson so much. Why he's my best mate. So in England, when we go from like home or the hotel to the ground, we don't go in a coach and a bus because we used to get given cars by Jaguar, which is a nice little perk of playing for England, by the way. And I used to drive everywhere. I hate being a passenger because my wife's a terrible driver, so I don't like being a passenger when she's behind the wheel. So I always drive.
Okay.
And Jimmy doesn't like driving either. So he was like my passenger every day. And we'd go in and we would listen to the same music all the time. And I tell you, I will finish. It was a song, you'd have never heard of it. It's called Farewell to the Fairground by the White Lies. Unbelievable tune. Indie band from England. Brilliant.
All right. Must check it out.
But this one day, it was a Sunday, right? And you imagine the traffic in London is pretty much like traffic in most Indian cities or like Mumbai. It's crazy. You go nowhere and it takes ages. But on a Sunday, obviously no one's at work and the roads are empty. It's like a ghost town. You fly through. So on this Sunday, as we went from the hotel to Lord's, which is about 1.5 miles, there was a road closed, right? And it was taking us on a diversion out of central London through a place called Camden and then into Lord's. Took 20 minutes. Absolutely fine. And I got 5 wickets this day. It was like an amazing day. And so immediately, of course, I put this down to the journey that we took getting to the ground. It was nothing to do with how I bowled or how bad the Australians batted on the day or Pakistan. I can't remember which team it was. But the next day, down at breakfast, I looked at him and went, Jimmy, he went, I know what you're going to ask. You want to drive the same way to the ground, don't you? And I went, yes, I do. And so we went the same way. But this was now a Monday and everyone was back at work. It took us 2 hours to get to the ground. So we turned up, almost missed the first over of the day in an Ashes Test match at Lord's. We ran in through the dressing room, with 5 minutes to go, and Andy Flower, the coach, went, "Where the hell have you been?" I was like, "I'm sorry." But desperately put on our whites and then sprinting out to the middle. But Jimmy didn't mind. But even then, when we got to the ground really late, we both then had to listen to the same song again before we got out of the car. We had stewards banging on the window, looking at the time, going, come on, shut up. And air drumming and air guitar in the car. Brilliant. Yes.
Mukesh is known for being horrendously late for all of our recordings. So Mukesh, if you ever use superstition as an excuse, I will slap you.
I thought you will say, I will get it.
No, I will slap you because I know you as a person. So I know what kind of a person you are.
They reckon if you're late for everything, I looked into this. If you're late for everything, it means you're this far from being a genius. Your mind is going off in so different directions that time is not linear to you. Space-time does not count.
Yeah, but
you're
it's
like
still far,
the new
right?
Albert Einstein.
I'm still about yay far from a genius. Yeah, so that could be anywhere. That could be mad, delusional, idiotic.
Yeah. They also say that there's a fine line between genius and madness. So, yeah, maybe.
All right. So we've got Swanny on the podcast, of course. For people who will see video clips of this, Swanny is wearing a Newcastle United shirt. And that is because he is a massive Sunderland fan.
He's a black cat.
I just had to get that in while Swanny was having a sip of his drink.
Just
to see him spit it out.
My son will listen to this and he's saying, Wilf, that was a joke, all right? Daddy is not a Sunderland fan. And neither are you. And we never will be.
Yeah, no, never. But we shall begin this episode or the football chat in this episode with Newcastle because this is not something we usually do. But when we have a Newcastle fan on the show, we still don't typically have Arsenal fans on the show, by the way. This is how low down the pecking order Arsenal fans are.
I'll tell you what, and you won't have Arsenal fans on for a while now. They've bottled it, but we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that in a minute. Newcastle 4, Spurs 0. What a fantastic victory for Newcastle.
Amazing.
Complete performance, denting Spurs' top 4 hopes. Swanny, how was that victory for you sitting here in India? Were you in Kolkata when the game happened?
No. I was actually travelling. I was going from Lucknow to Kolkata. So you imagine I've got this app, and it's not like an illegal streaming app before I get in trouble with anyone back home. It's just like the Sky Sports app in England. Yeah. And so because I want to watch the game in its entirety, I was thinking I won't even bother finding out the score, and I'll get to Kolkata and I'll put it on tonight. But I forgot to turn the notifications up in this app. And so it kept pinging up. And then my son would phone me up every time Newcastle scored. And I'd get a phone call immediately. And then my son, whoever scored the goal, my son is then singing the terrace chant for that player. And so it turned out, even though I wasn't watching it, I was just watching the score flick up. It got better and better and better, which happens quite a bit when we play Spurs at home. Which is, and I know this because, in England, you don't choose your team. Your team is given to you by your parents, basically. You don't have any say in it. And I was no different. When I was a little boy, it's actually my granddad Wilfred, who said, boys in this family support Newcastle United. So that's fine by me. But my brother has somehow allowed his only son, Sam, to be a Tottenham fan. And I have no idea how this has happened. I think it's weak parenting on my brother's behalf. And I think there should be severe questions asked. However, little Sam, who's just turned 12, he's a cool little kid. He's a really nice kid. And every time I see him, I say, I'm going to get you a Newcastle shirt. You can't be a Tottenham fan. And obviously, Newcastle beating him, I immediately texted him saying, mate, it's not too late to be a Newcastle fan. And I think we've turned him because he came back with a smiley emoji, like a laugh smiley emoji, which I think in kids speak, because I don't speak kid talk, whatever. I think that means, yes, Uncle Graham, I'm now a Newcastle fan. It better.
The sad part is, neither of us speak the current Gen Z lingo either, but that emoji can mean yes or no, or what are you talking about, or I don't care. It could mean anything in the English
it's a
language.
massive cry for help.
I think the cry for help happened when he started supporting Spurs. That was the massive cry for help. But let's talk about Alexander Isak then, because what a fantastic signing he's turned out to be. He's just one of the best strikers in the league right now, I feel, and he's proving himself week in, week out. Do you think he's going to stay at Newcastle next season, or is he going to get an offer from a quote unquote bigger club, even though Newcastle have all the money now?
Right. I'm going to warn you now. If you've got me on here, don't offend me straight away and say he's going to go to a quote unquote bigger club. Honestly, this is nonsense. Unless he goes to somebody who cheat, like Man City, who cheat on the money side of things, he's not going to do that. He wouldn't play for it. There is no bigger club in the country. They've been bought by the Saudis, and I'm fine with that, by the way, before anyone gets into the whole ownership debate. Every government buys arms from everyone else all around the world. The world is corrupt. So you might as well have a football team that you support. Newcastle are the future. Newcastle within the next 5-10 years are going to be the biggest club in the world. Thank you very much. I mean, winning Champions Leagues and stuff. I actually saw this supercomputer the other day. I don't know who it was from. Predicted the next 100 years of Champions League winners. I mean, what a waste of time. But that is brilliant. And in 2036... Newcastle win the Champions League. So I told Wilf already. I said, mate, we're going to the final. I'll book tickets now. So no, Alexander Isak is not going. One thing I love about it, the fact that everyone who Eddie Howe brought in, and he buys more on the players on how they're going to be around the squad and everything. So Joe Linton, Guimaraes, Alexander Isak, he buys these blokes who like buying into this project of taking Newcastle from where we were, which was bottom half of the Premier League, and a terrible owner and no drive and ambition whatsoever, but passionate fans, and taking it to like, no, we want to win stuff, and this is a massive project. So don't even try and get me riled up about players leaving, because I will have a childish tantrum and order chips and room service and throw them at the screen.
I mean, that is the type of content that we live for here.
Send the ghosts of Oberoi charging at Amogh.
He's called Teddy, by the way. He's got an actual name, that ghost. He's called Teddy.
It's too casual a name for a ghost.
Yeah, it's too cute a name. I don't think I'd ever be scared of a ghost named Teddy. I'd just go like, oh.
It's cool, but look him up, and then someone's seen him. I know they have. I want to see him. I'm going to go out as soon as it gets to midnight tonight, because I fell asleep for 6 hours this afternoon, so I won't be sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out. I'm looking for him. I'm going ghost busting.
Keep us posted on what you find, Swanny. The other thing that I noticed in this victory that was really heartening, and I would love to see a lot more clubs do this, is did you notice, I think it was after the first goal when the team was celebrating, Dan Burn made a gesture for the deaf and dumb and blind kids and blind fans at the stadium. I think there was a separate section for those fans at St. James's Park. Were they wearing sensory T-shirts?
Sensory shirts. So if you saw, the sponsor was different, RNID, which is like the blind charity in the UK.
Okay.
Instead of the Sealer, which is like Saudi arms dealer or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was a thing on the club's website during the week, and it had 2 or 3 of the players who, and they're really good at this at Newcastle. There's very strong links to the community and stuff like that. And they had all these kids in who were coming to the ground.
Yeah.
And they were teaching them sign language for which means how happy they are and that he knows that they're being supported. So when Newcastle scored, Dan Burn did that. He remembered it and he did that for the crowd. I think, honestly, Geordies love Dan Burn so much because he's like a local lad. He's from Blythe. And his song even go, he's from Blythe, you'll never ever beat Dan Burn. Blythe, interestingly, is where my family hail from as well, where my dad's from. So that's why we're all Newcastle fans.
Nice.
And so he's like, even though this year he had a patch where he wasn't playing well and he was being skinned for pace on the outside, that you'll never find a Newcastle fan who will ever say anything bad about him. He's just an absolute legend. And so when he remembered to do that, for those little kids, honestly, I watched that when it came through. I was crying my eyes out on my bed. That is absolutely legendary. What a hero.
Yeah.
Statue. I just saw the statue coming like 2 years later. Like there's going to be a Dan Burn statue. Like, like that moment.
Next to Bobby, it'll go Alan Shearer, Bobby Robson, Dan Burn outside the
club
ground.
That moment sealed it.
And Dan Burn doing the sign, of course, the sign that he did make said, "We love the fans," which is just again, how can you make this moment even sweeter? Like if there is a way, I think Dan Burn will find it. Let's go from Newcastle down south to London, where Arsenal's title hopes suffered a massive dent. Mukesh is looking mighty pleased because we're not talking about Liverpool's title hopes just yet. We'll start off with Arsenal. Unai Emery coming to the Emirates and trying to vanquish some ghosts of his own.
Yes, Unai Emery showing Arsenal fans getting his revenge finally.
Yeah. Finally, it was a good evening for him at the Emirates. But
good evening for me. It was the greatest weekend. Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, the fact that Arsenal went there, and there's a type of fan in England, there's Arsenal fans, and they're all over the social media, you'll have seen it, and they get really passionate, really angry, and they're all convinced they're winning the league on about November the 1st every year. And I will say this before we carry on, Arsenal are the best team I've seen in the UK this year. They were brilliant when Newcastle played. I thought that even though we beat them at St James's Park, the lads at the Emirates, they absolutely trounced us. They were amazing. And I thought that they'd actually win the league this year, and they still might, because even though City are a juggernaut at the end. But the fact that the fans, they get so into it, and they slate every other team, and they're still whining that Joe Linton fouled somebody, or the ball went out of play at Newcastle. I mean, just so pathetic. It did lunatic. Yeah, but it went out, didn't it? The ball didn't even go on the field. It went out and so whenever these teams lose, I mean, there's always schadenfreude when big clubs lose. Mostly with Liverpool in the UK, I must say. But Arsenal losing, oh my word, I laughed my head off. Because one of my really good mates as well, Dan Mousley, who plays for England Lions cricket. You'll know this kid in a couple of years, trust me. He'll be in the IPL. He's class. He is a massive Villa fan. That's how they speak in Birmingham. All right, mate.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Villa fan, and he's got a season ticket. And he's in the middle of a game, so he couldn't go to the game, but he was in the middle of a cricket game. And I was texting him, just going, "This is amazing." He was almost crying. He was so happy. So I was over the moon with that.
That's lovely. And apart from Emery, of course, Emi Martinez was also making a return to the Emirates, where he was being booed throughout the game, and then he pulls off that fantastic stop from Leandro Trossard's close range shot. I think that was a pivotal moment for them, because once they got that save in, Villa just turned it up a notch and went for the kill. And post the game, Martinez definitely had something classy to say about the Arsenal fans, which is, again, weird coming from Emi Martinez. You don't expect that dude to say anything classy or do anything classy.
This is a guy.
His World Cup celebrations.
This is a guy who did a pelvic thrust when the whole world was watching him, and he decides to be classy while playing against Arsenal. And I'm like, that makes no sense. You have the perfect opportunity to be a douche, and everyone will be with you.
Yeah. I mean, his whole life, his default setting is douchebag. And for some reason, he turned it off. And he said, I think it was 10, 11 years I was here. I've still got friends here. I came here as a lad and left as a man. I'll always love this club. They're still second. They've come far, and I have one of the best managers in the world. I've worked with Mikel. I know how good he is. This is not said by Emi Martinez. This cannot.
That's what he said on the camera, and then as soon as the camera turned up, he went.
Also, have you ever actually heard Emi Martinez talk? Because he has a heavy London accent.
Yes, he does.
It's all right. He grew up in North London. Yeah.
It is so weird to see, because he's like, I've been here, innit? I'm like, you're from Argentina, don't you have a World Cup with them? No,
I know. London. I mean, London is mostly for what we call immigrants in England these days. It's mostly foreigners, so we'll take anyone. To be honest, you've seen our cricket team. You don't have to be born and raised in England to play for England at anything. So we're probably just trying to get him in the next World Cup, because we keep picking Jordan Pickford for God's sake. We need a better keeper.
Are you just saying that because Jordan Pickford has roots in Sunderland, or are you saying that because you genuinely don't rate Pickford as a goalkeeper? Because he seems like quite a good keeper for the national team.
It's a pastime in England to take the mickey out of Jordan Pickford. He is a very good keeper, but he's nowhere near the best English keeper. Nick Pope is 20 times the keeper that Pickford is. But I'm horrifically biased towards Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, Pickford is so error-prone that you can't just bear to watch him in a tournament. I can imagine he's perfect for the league, but in a tournament when everyone's just attacking.
The thing is, so with England, we get proper. I mean, you've never seen a country get. Well, you have actually, because India is exactly the same with the cricket. So the whole country gets so into the football when there's either the Euros or a World Cup. We've not won anything since 1966. We've been so close, and we've got as good players as anywhere in the world these days. And as a team, we should start winning trophies. Yeah. But the whole country gets so invested. And then the players who you think will be absolute superstars are the ones who miss the penalties in the shootouts, like Saka. The guys who are donkeys in most people's eyes, like Harry Maguire and Pickford, who get slated. Of course they're not. They're brilliant footballers. They always play well for England. So it's this massive thing at the minute that we've got. If you write down the names of the starting 11, it's a phenomenal 11 from the back up to the front. You've got world class players, but then Harry Maguire and Jordan Pickford are in it. And everyone's saying, "Well, but I always think no." If you watch Harry Maguire's penalty in the final of the Euros last year, it is simply the greatest penalty ever taken by any human being. And so I actually think, even though, he's so error-prone, or has been for Man United, I think that's mainly because he's at Man United. And they sold their souls to the devil. They're called the Red Devils. 35 years ago, I'm sure that they said, right, okay, if we win everything for the next 15, 20 years, we'll happily be absolutely rubbish and everyone laugh at us for the next 10. And I think that's what they did. And Harry Maguire suffered because of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely exactly what's happening. As a United fan, I completely echo that sentiment. It's a depressing time to be one. But yes, Mookie, you have something to say?
No, I'm great. I'm loving this. It's authentic banter.
I thought I could see on your face that you had a thought that you wanted out into the world. Bring it on. Come on.
I'm enjoying this. Honestly, I'm enjoying authentic banter straight from the heart of England. None of this imported banter that we do.
Yeah.
This is authentic.
Just while we're talking about Man United, by the way, can I just say that Marcus Rashford gets a lot of grief at the minute?
Yeah.
I admire his lack of tracking back and closing down more than anything else. If ever there's a more public display of, I just don't want to do that, so I'm not going to bother. It's like he's playing with a massive hangover all the time, which, to be fair, he tried to do the other week, didn't he?
Yeah.
But when they show all these things, so on Match of the Day, which is this very famous English show that every Saturday after the game, they show Match of the Day in the evening and you see the highlights of all the games. And then they have like old experts on and they'll just highlight a few things. Every week now, they're just saying, what is Rashford doing? And then they just watch him like pretend to track back and then being run around. Because he's 100%, I'm in this team to score goals. I'm going that way, mate. I'm going forward. I ain't going back. And so I really admire that. If ever I was a Premier League footballer, I think his work ethic would be very, very similar to mine.
Oh, yes.
He jogs like he's Messi. Like, I feel like he doesn't know he's Rashford. I'm like, hey, you're not that kid.
I think it might be, though, you know, on FIFA or EA Football or whatever it's called these days, you know, where if you sprint too much, your energy levels go down and then you're heart by the end. I think he's thinking that all the time. He's just saving his energy. He's just not using it very well at the minute to go the other way.
The problem is if he's saving his energy to go forward, when he goes forward, you expect some lethal finish, and even that's not there. So, it's tough. But we will, of course, talk about United in detail in the second half, where we will also talk about Liverpool.
Oh, no.
and we'll answer some of your questions. We'll basically talk about Liverpool just purely because Mukesh had that reaction. So I feel like we should lean into talking more about Liverpool and what happened to their title chances. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Corner Flag, everybody. And as always, we begin the second half with your questions. Questions with the Corner Flag.
Dude, answers also, huh?
All right. The first question is from Ashwin _040.
Is this Ravichandran Ashwin? Keep the cricket out of it, Ashwin.
Yeah, it's just the spinners. Spinners have the most amount of time. Because I know Kuldeep Yadav is a big Barcelona fan. So
he's a good kid. Right. I like Kuldeep. He's a really nice kid, you know. I've got a lot of time for him. I always talk to him at the ground whenever I see him. He's nice.
Ashwin _040, who could be Ravichandran Ashwin, asks us, thinking of therapy as a remedy to this Premier League season. He's just sharing his woes with us.
Oh, right. I thought this was a question then. I thought I was going to have to do some work.
But the question is, which club do you think he supports? Because he could support Arsenal, it could be Liverpool, it could be Chelsea, it could be United.
It's definitely Chelsea or United. I don't think any Arsenal or Liverpool fan right now is thinking of therapy.
No.
I'm thinking of therapy.
That's because
I think
weak.
the greatest thing about football and the greatest thing about the Premier League is that I think every fan becomes so enveloped in their own team.
Yeah.
And you feel it. And there's always this thing like at the start of the season, it's, oh, great, here's how the performances of 11 men who have actually nothing to do with me whatsoever are going to completely affect my mood for the next 9 months. Brilliant, let's bring it on. And you get so invested in it. And the difference between a good weekend and a bad weekend for your team can actually make or break your week and stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy. But every fan will feel hard done by in a season. Apart from, I reckon, this year in England, Man City fans are used to just being almost messing around until March and then winning everything, winning the league. Arsenal fans generally think they actually are. They should win it. They should have won it this year, but they've bottled it. They're bottle jobs, so they're not going to. So their fans will be like that. Liverpool always play the victim and blame everything on everyone. So they'll be feeling, oh my God, that's not fair. The referee's like, that's not fair. Like, they'll moan like him. All the cockneys who support Man United I'm going, this ain't fair. We should be winning the league. Where Eric Cantona, where Wayne Rooney, and all that. I mean, me as a Newcastle fan, genuinely, I was so excited about this season because of how well we did last year. And then we were going great guns. We were doing well in the league, and we just beat PSG 4-1 in the Champions League. And then one by one, all the players get injured.
Yeah.
And you realise we really do have a small squad compared to City or Chelsea. And you see your season fall apart. And our season fell apart in 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Probably up until the end of January when we lost 3-1 at home to Forest in the league. And then we lost to... And we couldn't beat Luton in the league. And it was like... This, so as at the time, me and my son, we're like, we need therapy here. We can't do this the rest of the year. And yet, as soon as we can't get in the Champions League again, we're not going to win the League Cup, whatever. As soon as that happens, you start playing well again. Everyone gets fit, and you think, yes, next season. I can't wait for next season. And of course, next season will come along, and the same thing will happen again. The cycle will repeat, and it's just what I reckon. One club a year, jumps out of that cycle and plays out of its skin. This year is Villa, without a doubt. Yeah. And my mate Mouse, who's like, honestly, we're the best club in England, or I reckon we might win something. You're not going to win anything, and everyone knows that. You've got some good players. If people shut you down, you're useless. That's what I say to wind him up. By the way, I was on the England A tour. I'm the coach for this Young English spinners coming up. And we were in Ahmedabad when Newcastle played Villa. And so it was on at 1:30 in the morning, and me and Mouse said, should we stay up and watch it? There's kind of a game or training tomorrow, so we shouldn't. So we didn't, and we went to bed. And the first thing in the morning, so when I wake up, I pick up my mobile phone, fingers crossed, and Newcastle have beaten them 3-1. Nice. And so I was outside his room, and the music that they play on the stadium before the Newcastle games, I had it pumping, and I was putting my phone to the bottom of his door and dancing around the corridor. That's one of the happy moments of my season. There's a long-winded answer. I think everyone needs therapy at the end of a football season, apart from Man City, who have the best team of lawyers ever and somehow avoid getting fined by the financial fair play people.
And they are the reason we need therapy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you just go into that? Do you think Man City just went straight to OJ Simpson's lawyers and said, "Can you come and look after us, please?" Because we're guilty as hell. Everyone knows it. To avoid these FFP or something. Do they sell pizzas for £1 million a time in the ground? And just one or two of the owners come up and buy 3 pizzas every week?
Yeah.
Because it's a joke.
Yeah, we made money.
Yep, it's just Noel Gallagher buying 1 million Kevin De Bruyne jerseys. All right. I guess it's an effort to mock me, but Mehta.Ishan asks us, what's the score, Mukesh? And I don't know if he's referring to the Crystal Palace game the Atalanta game.
He is. I think the answer to that is yes.
The answer to that is yes.
But yes, basically, Swanny, we make fun of each other. So Mukesh is a Liverpool fan. I support Man United. And we have 2 other people who support Chelsea and Everton, if you can believe that. But every time one of our teams has a bad day at the office and they lose, the rest of us ask that person what the score was in a very mocking tone. So that's why this particular listener has asked that.
Yes,
you're more than welcome to ask Mukesh that question as well if you'd like.
Do you think if that game was still going on, do you think Liverpool would have scored yet? Seriously. And we're 2 days after it. I mean,
not with how Curtis Jones played.
No.
So my producer, the director, for the IPL on this day, when we were at Kolkata the other day, while that game was going on, it's called Craig Cozier, absolute legend. He's a Crystal Palace fan. Sorry.
Okay.
So while I was on air, because I always have my phone sort of off camera on the football app because I'm English and that's what we do. And I was like, Palace has scored. He goes, just don't tell me, man. Don't tell me. It's West Indies. Don't tell me, man. They can't lose this. They can't lose the game. And so when I rushed back to the hotel, I got the last 20 minutes. And you know when you turn on, and I desperately wanted Palace to win, of course, because my mate's a Palace fan, and it's always funny when Liverpool lose. And so when you're a team of 1-0 up and they're all defending, and they're just being bombarded. And let's face it, Liverpool are so good at the minute. They're going forward at Anfield. They're amazing. They create chances that most clubs don't create. And the fact, it was like someone had bricked up the goal. It was impossible for them to score. Like a Jedi force field around it or something.
Nathaniel Klein turned up.
But those 20 minutes seemed like about 2 hours. And imagine if you'd been a Palace fan. And I could hear Craig almost in my head, like screaming, and he takes me. I'm still happy. That was the longest 20 minutes of my life. It was great.
Oh, dude! I mean, it was so nice. I think as a Man United fan, this was the most amazing thing to happen this weekend. And that just shows how far down we have fallen as Man United, as the club, because our joy stemmed from the fact that Liverpool lost and possibly bottled the title race because now they're third. Yeah. And again, they just could not buy a goal. What was it that went wrong, Mookie? Curtis Jones is missing horribly easy chances. Salah's not scoring. He's in my FPL. The fuck, dude?
That's the real tragedy. Why. That's the real tragedy.
That is the real tragedy. That is. Because who cares about who wins the title anymore?
Yeah.
When you pick your FPL team, by the way, do you pick players from your own team or do you leave them out so you don't jinx them?
I leave them out
because I don't.
Thank you. I reckon that is the most common thing because there's people who obviously want to win the FPL who do like thesis studies on it and all sorts, and there's proper football fans. So at any one time, I started off with Bruno Guimaraes in my team because he's my favourite player by miles. And then he had a couple of quiet games, so I got rid of him. And of course, the second I got rid of him, he started ploughing the points. Anthony Gordon the same. I will not. I think I've actually just put him in my team. I need to get rid of him. And Alexander Isak, I got rid of him, I think 6 games ago, and he's scored in every game since. I don't care. I'm bottom of my league. I'm going to get relegated, but I don't care as long as he keeps pumping him in. I love that we all do that.
I am so bad at FPL that I will tell you this, that my 11 have gotten me 36 points and my substitutes have gotten me 38 points.
Oh, I love that. And you didn't use your bench boost. I love that.
No. My thing is I don't use Man United players in my FPL team because I don't want to jinx them. The
and
fact
also,
that they're Man United players,
get any points.
yeah, exactly. The jinxing is happening already with or without my inputs in FPL.
I'm just going to look at my team here because I'm doing so badly in my league that I forgot to. Every week I forget to do a team, but I've had a good week. I just need Cole Palmer. He's my only player left to go. I've got 55 points.
Nice.
Yeah,
that is very cool. Let me check how much.
So I've just said I don't have any home players, but there's one guy here, Fabian Schär.
And he got a goal.
Good.
Not only kept a clean sheet, but also scored that header right there when the game's already won. Scored that header. So so that day, everything went right for me. It was perfect. So not only I had all day to sleep in bed. I didn't have to get out of bed for anything. So that's a massive Brucey bonus to start. Newcastle won 4-0. On the way to the airport, I was in the car with Samuel Badri on the way to the airport. There was a house of candy at the airport, which, by the way, if any of you guys in India have not tasted those little pink and blue bubblegum fizzy sweets, you must immediately.
All right.
I might give up meat and vegetables and just eat these for the next 10 years. Oh my God. No,
I mean, life looks great.
Everything went my way. And then I got
life
to a
looks
haunted...
great.
Well, I landed in Kolkata and it's a haunted hotel. It was like the greatest day ever for me. But Fabian Schär was the icing on the cake scoring that header.
Life must be looking really great for you after retiring from playing cricket, because now that can be your meat and potatoes.
I can't explain how good they are.
I was just going to say, life feels very good because your team remembers how to score goals. I haven't experienced a goal in about a week or 10 days.
Yeah.
See, had Newcastle not won that game, the sweet shop would have been closed. Like the flight would have been delayed. I would run out of battery in the middle of doing something. Yeah, everything. Yeah. When it goes well, it's all based down to your football team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of things not going well and going well, United 2, Bournemouth 2, another horrible performance by United.
Lucky to get a point as well.
very lucky to get a point. Like, we did not deserve anything from that game. That penalty was just I mean, somebody was praying for us, I guess, and they got us that penalty, but it was just abject. Like, that performance was depressing. And that is the kind of performance that makes me want to go to therapy.
Where do you stand on Eric Ten Hag then?
I really want him to stay on, because I feel like he could have a plan under slightly more competent ownership with a slightly more robust recruitment structure where we can get better players for not as much money. But it's every week it gets harder and harder to support him. Because he keeps saying he has a plan, but we just can't see it unless the plan is total
I think
and
his
utter
plan
chaos.
is to get rid of all the players and then get a new line. And let's face it,
that's a very ambitious plan, and probably what we need
for the profit and sustainability. It's a good job Man United have so much sort of outside sources, because they paid stupid money for years on building up this squad, and so. Someone asked me the other day, or didn't ask me, I was reading about it because I'm a football geek and I read about football all the time, saying that they've just blamed manager after manager after manager, and yet the players have all stayed the same. Isn't it about time that someone just turned around and realised the players on the field, I think they are good enough. Of course they're good enough. They're world-class players. But the way that they play and the seeming attitude to everything. So one guy comes in and they say he trains us too hard. Another guy comes in and says doesn't train us hard enough. Another guy comes in. It's the players. It's not the gaffer.
Players.
Get a captain who doesn't dive on the floor and cheat all the time. That'd be a start. Yes, I think we all know that. I mean, I don't think there's anyone. When you see all those clips of Fernandes running into defenders and throwing himself on the floor, I mean, come off it. As a skipper, just think, what would Roy Keane say? Would you ever see Roy Keane do that? So Man United for years in England, I mean, everyone hated him because they were so good. And they just, but they were brilliant under Fergie when you had like Beckham, Giggs, Scholes, Keane, Bruce and Pallister, people like Cantona is still the best player I've ever seen live. I watched him completely. Newcastle, when they should have won the league in 98, I think it was, or 96. Like, completely outplayed United. It was a joke, but couldn't score. It was a bit like Liverpool this week. Cantona got one chance in the game. And if Cantona hadn't played, it would have been a rout. He got one chance in the game, scored an unbelievable goal, and that was it. United won the league. He is easily the best player I've seen live, by miles, Eric Cantona. But everyone else really hated Man United, but begrudgingly went, God, they're just so hard to beat. Yeah. Because they had a steal to him as well. I mean, Roy Keane was nasty on the field, but he was everyone wanted a Roy Keane in their team. Now, you look at them, they haven't got anyone with that sort of spirit and that backbone. And I think it's wonderful.
Absolutely right. On that note, Swanny, let's stop the football chat from the weekend here and move over to a final segment of this episode, which is Mukesh's quiz.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello. I think you need to work on your intro to your quiz a bit more.
I keep telling him the same thing.
Welcome to Mukesh's quiz, in which I quiz the football knowledge of my very not footballing guests. All right, there are 6 questions. Whoever answers first gets the point.
Okay.
It's everybody's question, and they're just random questions about football in general.
Okay.
All right. This is a non-exhaustive list, but tell me what connects these players. So I'm going to list out a set of players and just tell me what connects them. Okay. Shea Given, Louis Saha, Michael Chopra, Andy Cole,
Newcastle United,
Danny Rose, Danny Simpson. Yes, but what else? There has to be something
and also
more.
played for Man United.
Nope.
No,
Shea Given didn't play for Man United,
Aston
but all
Villa.
the others did.
Nope.
Oh, Man City.
I'm disappointed,
Man City.
Swanny.
No.
They're all definitely Newcastle United players.
Yeah,
they played for Newcastle United.
Go through it again. I'm thinking Chopra.
Right.
I thought it was going to be something to do with Sunderland then. Michael Chopra is still an absolute legend on Tyneside because Sunderland were 1-0 up against us once and he came on as sub. Literally ran on the field and he hadn't even broken stride. And he ran to the box and this free kick came over, bounced over the keeper and he bundled it in at the near post. And then we went on to win 4-1. He's still an absolute legend on Tyneside because of that.
All right.
I don't know.
I'm going to just read the...
I'm used to stuff like
I'll
this.
just read the list out once more.
Yeah.
Shea Given, Louis Saha, Michael Chopra, Andy Cole, Danny Rose, and Danny Simpson. Amogh, you have one more guess.
Well,
it's a non-exhaustive list.
It's got to be Man United then if it's not anyone else. Newcastle and Man U.
because
Did they all go on the academy at United or something?
Amogh, time's running out.
No, I give up. I
3,
can't.
2, 1.
Yeah.
These are all players who've played for Newcastle and Sunderland, which I think Swanny almost said.
I did say Sunderland, didn't I? Yeah.
But you didn't say it fully.
Well,
right.
I mentioned Sunderland though, so I win that one by default.
Swanny wins this one. Fair enough.
By accident.
He gets 1,000 trees.
Andy Cole played for Sunderland.
I did not know that. Yeah,
I did not know that. Sorry. Andrew Cole. Yeah, you're not allowed to call him Andy anymore. He exists somebody called Andrew Cole now.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. Seriously,
wow.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said as well. What? if you had a mate, imagine if you were going down the pub and your mate suddenly went, no, I want you to call me Andrew from now on, not Andy. Imagine the banter you'd get.
Yeah.
You'd just go, shut up. What are you having yourself?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody says, I want you to call me Andrew, not Andy. All right, Andy.
Yeah, exactly.
You make it a point to never call him Andrew.
Shut up, Andy.
But that's it. No, you have to call him Andrew Cole, but he's a legend. Okay. I was gutted when he got sold to Man United. I was only young. I was only about 11 or 12. Yeah. I was gutted. But then we got Shearer in. But imagine Shearer and Cole playing together. That would have been sweet.
That would have been sweet.
That would have been sweet. Yeah. All right, we go to the next question, which is a name question, which is, which club is called the Tractor Boys?
Ipswich.
Oh, man.
Which club's nickname?
Ipswich.
Yes, excellent.
He's English. He knows this.
Yeah.
He knows this stuff.
Okay, fine. They're going to get promoted this year as well.
They are. They're playing so well.
I don't know if you know, if you follow it, but the Championship is at this time of the year is always amazing because the biggest game in football, they call it, is the Championship playoff. So everyone finishes from 6th to 3rd, do semis and then a final to go up. And it's at the end of the season and everyone watches it. It's a massive day. But it's only the top 2 go up automatically. Leicester were cruising. My next door neighbour at home is Maresca, the Leicester manager. He is my actual next door neighbour at home.
Nice.
He once appeared outside my front window. I was just sat down watching the telly and I was talking to my little daughter who's only 8 and she suddenly went, Daddy, there's a man outside the window. and between our houses, there's like a row of trees. And his dog had run through this gap in the trees and was like running around. His dog's called, it's a big golden retriever, beautiful dog. I can't remember his name. Giro. And his gate, he's got electric gates and they'd broken, so he couldn't get out to go to training for Leicester City. So he was out there knocking on the window, asking me to open my gate.
Sorry, his dog was running around in your garden.
In the front of my house, yeah. So every now and again I'll come home and his dog will be there.
And his dog's name was Chiro.
Chiro, yeah. Chiro.
So Chiro was not Immobile.
Oh, that's just the bits. It was
right there. It had to be made. Like this is the perfect setup for the perfect pun. It's like God himself created this situation for me to say this tonight to you guys. I had the divine right.
But there he was. So every now and again, I'll turn up at my house, and as I drive through, so I open my gates. As I drive in, this big dog will come and greet me. Will come running up, and it's Giro. Yeah,
Giro. That's it. All right. Okay.
So anyway, so Leicester City have messed up this massive league, and now Ipswich, the Tractor Boys, look like they might go up automatic promotion unless Southampton or Leeds are looking strong as well. But it's brilliant. Yeah. Those of you who don't follow the Championship, you should do it. It's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's available on fan code. So a little bit of a plug for the people who pay us.
Apparently, they only employ very handsome people on fan code.
They do.
And the not handsome ones become writers. Which team is known as the Red Dragons or the Robins?
Wrexham?
Wrexham, well done, Amogh, for this question and getting this right.
They've just got promoted as well.
Yeah, they did.
They
got
promoted.
They did. That season 3 of Welcome to Wrexham is going to be fun.
That's the evil Hollywood money.
Exactly.
It's not.
I don't know
it
who's the
doesn't seem
worst
evil at all.
owners. Whether Saudi Arabian owners are worse than Hollywood owners. I don't know. With all the stuff going on, with all the stuff, all the weird rumors here about Hollywood, I'd rather have Saudi owners.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's go to the next question. I'm going to read out a bunch of club names. It's a non-exhaustive list, and tell me what is common to these clubs, right? Al Ali FC in Egypt, Urawa Red Diamond FC in Japan, Crawley Town FC in England. What is common? And if you don't get it, I'll give you 2 more names.
It was Al Ali FC, Crawley Town, and
Urawa Diamond FC.
I'm not even going to try and write that down. I didn't even know how to spell that.
I mean, it's obviously something big. It can't be like, some obscure player called Jin Mohammed played for them.
It's not Crawley Town are notorious for being like quite a dirty, hard-nosed team from the lower leagues in England.
Okay,
no one likes playing
It has something to do with the name, like one of the nicknames of the club.
All right.
Does it have? Are they all nicknamed the Diamonds or something?
No.
Something to do with diamonds?
Not diamonds, but it has something to do with the nickname.
No idea.
Swanny, one guess. Okay, one more clue I'll add to this list.
The manager of each has all served time in prison for ABH.
Well, I'm going to read out the next 2 names and then you tell me whether it still checks out or not. So adding to this list is the Belgium national team and the South Korea national team.
Are they all called Red Devils?
They're all called the Red Devils.
Oh, there you go. How did you? Which one gave it away then? The South Koreans?
No, the Belgium.
The Belgium one.
Belgium, there you go. Because that's United as well. Was Man United going to be the last one? Yeah. Is there a North Korean football team? Do they play football?
They do. They played the World Cup. They played, I think, 2018.
Can you imagine?
They're called the Gunners. So called the Gunners.
Oh yeah, they played. I think they played the 2018 World Cup, and then they lost all the 3 games in the group stage, and then
no one has heard of any of the players ever since.
And I'm pretty sure I heard about a player hiding out in
to defect.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Don't they defect? A lot of them get out of the country. They try and defect to the south and stuff. Have you ever seen the maps? This is a massive size. Have you ever seen the map of the world at night time that they take from the satellite? You know, the ISS space station. Yeah. And it goes over like Asia, and then it's got South Korea, and then there's a complete black space. It looks like a black blob. You can't see a single street light or anything. That is North Korea. It is so obvious when you look at the map. It's like got brilliant lights of cities all around it. To the north, south, east, and then there's just this like black hole on the map, and that's North Korea. You're like, Jesus. I mean, those people, they don't even know they live there, the poor devils. They live there, and they've no idea that the rest of the world does podcasts and enjoys and laughs and likes football, and they've just got that lunatic with his nuclear missiles in charge. Wow.
It's the only football team that trains not for the cup but for defection.
They train for their lives.
We do tiki-taka for the visa.
Okay.
All right. We're down to our last 2 questions. Which team in its native language is known as the sons of gods?
North Korea.
And the Jews.
North Korea.
and the Jews.
that took a very weird turn.
Yeah.
Yep.
In their
I was as shocked.
in their native tongue.
So, yeah. In the native language. There are two names, two common nicknames. One of them is Sons of Gods, and the other one is the Jews.
Is it Boca Juniors?
It's not Boca Juniors. Europe.
I see,
Europe.
I see what you did there. You shortened the juniors. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant the weird Argentinian connection of the Germans defecting, something like that.
Well, of all the high-ranking Nazi officials who ended up farming outside of Buenos Aires.
I was like, hey, we're actually the Jews who escaped.
This is one. So I don't know if you watch a lot of documentaries. I watch a lot of documentaries. I love them. And there's a distinct thing on all the Discovery channels and everything. There's the actual documentaries, like about space and stuff, that Brian Cox does that are amazing. And then there's the ones on the History Channel too that are like, did Hitler fly to the moon in a submarine, stuff like that. And there's one called Ancient Aliens and stuff like that. If you've got a few hours to kill, just watch these programs. Some of the hairstyles alone of these people, like the UFO hunters and everything, make it all worthwhile. And some of them have very compelling arguments. And the one about the one about the ancient Sumerians and everything. But this one day I was watching it, and they're on about these megaliths and these massive, and they all say that there was a civilization thousands of years before, like the modern day civilization. And I kind of agree with that. There's got to be something.
Yeah.
And anyway, as I'd left, I went into the kitchen, and my dog rolled over on the remote control channel.
Okay.
And when I came back in, they were talking about Hitler in Buenos Aires. And I was like, well, this took a leap. So we've gone from ancient megalithic structures to Adolf Hitler in Buenos Aires. I'm like, how are they linking these two? It took me about 25 minutes to realise that the channel had changed. It was brilliant.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, cool. Okay, Sons of Gods and the Jews. I feel like I know this. I've heard of
I
it.
definitely don't know this.
No, you definitely know the team. Obviously, it's not some obscure team in
Sons of Gods
in the Turkish league or something.
Sons of Gods, the Jews. I don't know. Is there any other clue, or I can't?
Okay, obviously not in England, because not the native tongue.
Sons of God FC.
Sons of God.
You're having yourself, aren't you? By the way, what are you called? Sons of God, mate. Yeah, we're that good.
And also called the Jews, but with a little bit.
Jesus FC.
Jesus FC. Okay, give some other clue. No?
Give some other clues. Henderson.
Ajax.
Oh,
it is Ajax. It is Ajax. No, it is Ajax FC. They're called the Sons of God.
Oh, Henderson, because Henderson's moved, no, from Al Ittifaq or whatever.
Yeah, they Golden Zonin, which I'm guessing means the Jews. Sorry, that's the Son of God. And they Jordan, which is the Jews.
Ajax have a very weird sort of history, being
Very
called
weird.
the Jews, playing Bob Marley's Three Little Birds as their official song.
Very weird.
It's just the name Ajax. Even the name Ajax is such a weird name. Like, why are you referencing some random Greek mythology for a club based in Amsterdam?
I was on the England
FC.
under-19 cricket tour in Cape Town once.
Okay.
And we trained at the Ajax training ground in Cape Town. They've got like an academy there.
Okay.
That I found really weird. But this is when Ajax were like still one of the biggest teams in Europe and amazing, like famous for. They did tiki taka before Barcelona, didn't they?
Yeah,
right.
And they're amazing. But we had a kick around on their on their like training pitch that was the best surface I've ever known in my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, the Sons of God.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not doing very well on this obscure quiz.
I think we're tied. I think
you're tied. You're both tied, and this is the last question. And whoever, which team is called in its native tongue?
God, not again.
Called the Company's 11.
Company's 11.
And again, I'll give you a clue. It's because there's a company's name in the name of the.
Bayer Leverkusen.
It is bio.
That is very, very. I didn't even have time to type that into Google. That is very impressive. I tell you who I would have come up with. I've just typed it in. Z Technologies, it would have said. But that wouldn't have been right. So that would have been no good whatsoever.
That would have been so good.
They've just won the league, haven't they?
They have, and unbeaten as well.
Unbeaten.
That is phenomenal. And I mean, that's another thing that's going to just rub it in for Arsenal fans. The fact that Granit Xhaka's gone there as well. You see how happy he looked. When I love the end of season. You know, when they go inside the changing rooms and stuff at the celebrations and everything.
Yeah.
And if you're offended by alcohol or whatever, I apologise if you're listening or whatever. But the fact that they've got those massive German styles.
Massive German, yep.
So when I got married, I don't know if you do it in India, but we have stag do's, they're called, where you go on a trip with all your mates. And my brother was my best man, and he took me to the Stuttgart Beer Festival. So not the Berlin Festival, that's like Oktoberfest, the festival. Stuttgart do one a week after Berlin. Week after Munich. Okay. And it was amazing. And like the girls bring out like 8 of those steins at once. And I've never seen a more impressive feat in my life. Yeah. And honestly, unless Marcus Rashford tracks back and tackles someone next year, it will remain the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. You know, there's something about that German beer, because I saw the clips from the dressing room at Bayer Leverkusen when Xabi Alonso was being drenched in it and then he was drinking from that massive stein. There's something about that German beer that just makes it look a little more delicious. Like,
it's amazing. German beer is
in the world. But there's just something about how it looks that, this will taste fantastic. Right. On that note, guys, what a fantastic episode. I think it's time for us to call it a day. Thank you so much, Swanny, for joining us on this episode. It was so much fun to have you here. I don't think we've laughed as much as we've laughed.
It's been a lot of fun. And, we should all probably go watch the IPL now.
We should, because we're recording that in just a moment. So we should go. Before we go, Swanny, on your Instagram, where can they find you on social media if you want to just plug that?
I'd say you can, on Twitter, or what's it called, X. This is how I'm so old. I mean, I'm 45 years old now. I'm going to have to look at what my name is. I'm at Swanny G. It's at Swanny G66. Yeah. And Instagram is probably the same. My kids set this up for me. My 8-year-old child set this up for me. What am I? I'm official Graeme Swann.
Okay, you're the official Graeme Swann.
Yeah,
so
I didn't know I was official, but apparently I'm official.
There we go. Mukesh can be found on Instagram at
Mukesh Manjunath.
And you can find me on Instagram at Amogh and Mukesh. You can also follow. No, don't do and what. You can also call him. It's fine. You don't need that. Follow the Corner Flag on Instagram and Twitter at @CornerFlagPod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CornerFlagPod. Thank you so much for joining us, Swanny. We will see you next week. Hopefully, if you're free, you can come next week as well. We can make this like a regular thing because it's just fun.
If Newcastle lose, you won't see me. But if they win again, I'll be all over
it. Honestly, if Newcastle win, we'll have you on again. But yes, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been great.
We'll see you around.
See you around.
See you.